Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Know Your Audience, Grow Your Brand, Data-Driven Marketing for Founders. My name is Colin Mahan, and I'm a Director of Programs at the Nasdaq Entrepreneurial Center. And for those of you who may not know, the Nasdaq Center is a nonprofit improving access and knowledge and entrepreneurship to advance economic progress for all. As you're going to see in the chat in just a moment, the Nasdaq Center provides programs, resources, and exceptional mentorship to help entrepreneurs fuel prosperity, no matter where their journey begins. Be sure to check out those links and resources shared in the chat. We're going to launch a few polls to take a step back and take a temperature gauge on how all of you are doing today. We use this information to guide the programs we provide for this global community of entrepreneurs. The first poll, how are you feeling about your business? Are you optimistic? Are you in survival mode? Let us know. We appreciate you voting. Alrighty, let's see. Optimism is in the lead today, but there's a little bit of survival mode out there. Hopefully this presentation will help. The second poll is going to cover, are you rethinking your go-to-market strategy? Again, if there are any specific topics or challenges you'd like us to create resources for, feel free to share them in the chat. Another couple housekeeping notes before we get started. First, let us know where you're dialing in from by dropping it in the chat. We'd love to see where everyone's joining us for our time together today. Secondly, we're going to have live Q&A at the end of this session, so please feel free to submit those questions at any time using the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. We'll do our best to get to as many as we can. Now, while you're answering that final poll, which is what's keeping you up at night, I'd like to take a moment to recognize the incredible support of our corporate partners. The work that we do at the center wouldn't be possible without all the generosity and belief of our partners and funders, including Nasdaq, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan Chase, KPMG, Walmart, the Asian Innovation Hub, Wilson Sonsini, the Nareed Foundation, and BPM. We're deeply grateful for their partnership and hope you'll join us in sharing that appreciation too. Alrighty, looks like what's keeping folks up at night is a mix of sales and finance, which is good, but it's a pretty good mix. There's also some marketing in there, which is great news for all of you because that's what we're going to be covering today. So without any further delay, please join me in giving a warm welcome to our special guest. Tsvetta Kaleynska is a founder and CEO of Ryla Global Consulting. Tsvetta, nice to see you. So happy to have you.
So happy to be here, guys. Thanks so much for having me, and good afternoon to everyone joining us from the East Coast, and I guess good morning to everyone on the West Coast.
Amazing. Well, looking forward to this. Over to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, I will go ahead and share my screen just so we can make sure that we keep track of time and that we're productive. So in today's session, we're going to focus our efforts on understanding how each one of you can grow your audience and also your brand. And this is not only specific to your business audience, but also to individual audiences and brands, because every one of us is our own brand. And one of the key takeaways that I've had from having run my business for 7 years is that you are the most important brand to work on before you even get to work on your own business brand. So today I really will do my best to give you everything I've learned about entrepreneurship and how to create your own brand, and understand your audience in depth, and also to how to create a brand that doesn't just exist as a singular product, but as a brand that people remember, that they trust, and that they resonate with, which is incredibly important in today's oversaturated world of social media and other marketing tools. So with that, I just wanted to recap why we're here and what you'll get out of the session. So we want to help you create once again, as I mentioned, a brand that is memorable, that clients and customers do not just notice, but one that they actually trust and recommend. And today is not so much about having more content or social media content to share. It's more about what are the tools that you can use in your toolkit to create that brand. And it's very important to highlight that when you're working on your business, as a small business owner myself, one of the most important things to remember is that you are the brand and your product or your services of your business are your think of them as your prototypes. So both your brand as a persona, as the CEO and founder and owner, have to go well together and hand in hand. The branding exercise that we'll do is going to help you understand several key things, which are who exactly are you serving and who's your audience at the moment? What value do they get out of your product, service, or maybe just from having a conversation with you, again, as a founder and CEO of your own business? And how does your audience find that you are valuable to them? What are those traits that you can bring in every conversation to make sure that your brand is memorable and that your audience remembers you with love, respect, and once again, associates you with value driven? Who am I? For those of you who have not used Google just yet to search my name and figure out who is this person, I wanted to simplify that for you and just say I am a founder like many of you. I am based out of New York City and I have run my own business for many years now. First, when I opened my agency, I was not really sure what I wanted to really do, and all I wanted to do was that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. That's as much as I knew. But throughout my journey, I very quickly, from having conversations with people, understood and realized who is my brand and what should my company really be serving. So I'm sure many of you are probably or have been in similar situations or are currently in that situation. And I wanted to encourage you and tell you that America is a great country for founders and entrepreneurs like ourselves, and you're in the right place. And every day that you run your own business, you are doing the right thing. You're at the right place at the right time. There's no better time to continue running your business than now. And basically creating a team of partners and your own team that is going to help you scale that brand to global parameters like I did. So I run and advise a large consultancy, which consults a variety of customers from finance to pharma to hedge funds to CPGs and auto brands globally. And we leverage consumer insights to better understand who our customers are serving as a brand. My team is globally because we actually operate within all time zones and several languages to cater to our existing clients. And what we do best, which is a very important thing for you guys to remember, is you have to have the what we do best at all times. What my team does best is that we build and we help our clients build stronger strategies. We help our clients understand how to position themselves in an oversaturated market. And then we help our clients understand how to invest their budgets, whether that's for sales, marketing, or other initiatives. As I mentioned, my goal for today is really to give you that practical understanding of how to use audience-driven insights, leverage free audience-driven insights tools, and not just worry about buying expensive softwares and subscriptions and dashboards. What you get out of the session by the end of it, hopefully, is that you'll understand how knowing your audience will really bring you this competitive edge against whoever you're competing with in your industry, and what it really means for 2025 and going into 2026 and when you're creating your branding strategy. Hopefully, the session will also give you a simple system to move away from the signals and the trends that we see to a more secure and more confident decision-making process so you don't get confused in which direction to go. And again, we will leave you with almost like a 90-day checklist, which we call a customer-centered plan to help you heading into 2026 and what you should keep in mind. What is the real advantage for founders today in understanding their brand? So for those of you who are in the early stage of your business, you're in a great position to actually begin understanding your future in the one, two, three, almost like stepwise approach. And what I mean by that is when I started my business, I actually thought my business was going to do something completely different, totally not related to customer insights and global market research. I was so focused on the first product, which in my mind was SaaS consulting and working with software companies and consulting them on go-to-market strategies, that I almost missed my opportunity to focus on the right thing, which for me was customer insights. How I got to basically that kind of early conclusion was that after having conversations with friends of mine, with old partners of mine, old colleagues, old clients, prospects, and anyone who's in my direct work network or circle, I found that there was a recurring theme, and it's very important for those of you who are early founders. That is that clients will not pay for a product that is not tangible. So anything that has to do with high level consulting, because the word consulting could mean, okay, consulting for 5 million topics, you have to really nail down exactly what you will focus your product on. And it has to be something tangible. It can't just be that you're going to come and create a strategy for them and leave them with some kind of presentation at the end of your strategy with them. It has to be something that they could bring, they could take it, they could see it. If you think they would feel it and they would literally breathe it in and be able to take it to the next level in the face of their audience, in the face of a product or a service, and they have to be able to bring it to their manager. So remember that you are offering and you're serving your clients, whoever your client is, whether it's a physical product or a service, you have to have that tangible aspect of the product. For those of you who are more advanced in your stage, you are probably at literally the layer of trying to figure out probably expansion, which is something that keeps entrepreneurs up at night almost every night, and also understanding how do you almost like put your ducks in a square your ducks in a row and just get all the insights you can about existing customer base. So it's a combination of, again, like multiple tools that could be leveraged, but just remember that you have to be laser focused on delivering tangible products that clients remember with value. The word value is very important this year. The important piece of how do I promote myself to who am I serving? And again, I'm speaking here for both you as a brand, because the CEO is always the head of the brand, to who am I serving and who's my audience. So think of it as my personal brand and my company brand go one and one. Prior to COVID and the last few years, there was what I call the old mindset. So the old mindset was that marketing campaigns and any type of promotional activities and sales campaigns had to be everywhere. They had to be very loud, almost like in your face. You had to be bombarded with them in order for basically your audience or the customer to execute and actually do the purchase or purchase the product. There are many misconceptions about leveraging social media and how much we should be serving our audiences and how often we should. So how much do we post? And then what our marketing spend should be, or what our marketing budget should be. The current mindset post COVID, again, post the changes that have occurred in the workforce in terms of how people work, where they work from, whether they work from home or in an office, where they see advertising, how they see messaging by brands and by people, by again, the CEOs, is completely different than a few years ago. And because our attention spans have grown or shrunk actually in the last few years, the new mindset that we have to keep in mind, which is very important, is that there is more focus on listening the right way and literally aiming for tighter attention span, tighter budgets. Basically, think of less is more in the context, and then how to really solve the problem from its core. So don't just bombard your audience with a message, but like understand the audience in depth in order to be able to assess where to serve them best and how to present it. I wanted to point out a few things that I've also learned from entrepreneurship, and those are that your brand is literally, it's not your logo and it's not your template and the colors on, that you associate with or any of it. Your brand really is the value that it delivers and the promise that you have given your customers and basically what you do best. And that is what is going to serve you long term. So your product and the quality of your product or service really have to match what you're giving to the customers in order for them to associate you with the word value, which is the most important word for any entrepreneur and business owner. Observing your audience deeply is incredibly important. I have been focused on analyzing consumers for the last, I don't know, almost 2 decades at this point. And I have been doing it leveraging something called social listening. So, customer insights that are extracted from social media, which give my customers and also me as a brand an understanding, a deeper understanding of the decision-making process that customers have when they are purchasing a product or a service, or what's the psyche behind their decision-making process, and what's their behavioral change when a new idea or a new campaign is brought in. Reputation management is also a huge part of that. And that comes, again, this is why I mentioned that you as the CEO and the brand are incredibly important in making sure that you keep the reputation of the brand at the highest at all times. And your reputation is directly tied to the value of your product and service, and honestly, to your success long term as an entrepreneur. And then understanding how you can leverage social media to create your target persona. So, for those of you who are in the super early stage, I assume that many of you might be coming up with a physical product that is being sold physically in stores or e-commerce stores. Your social media channels and platforms are there for you, free of charge, for you to understand who your audience is, leveraging them. For those of you who are in the later stage of entrepreneurship, whether you're in the SaaS business or in the product business, your social media platforms are there for you to help you understand who your target persona is. And the target persona applies to both software startups and again, service-based companies and product-based. And from social media networks, I actually mean everything from LinkedIn research that could be done, which we'll cover in a little bit, to Instagram, to Facebook, to even Reddit, and YouTube. And it's important for me to also cover how currently companies are using behavioral data and real-time insights from these social media platforms in order to adjust their go-to marketing strategy and brand messaging, and also creating their brand. I mean, I'm sure many of you are still in the process of creating a strong, staple brand that people recognize and associate with from the get-go. There's several components that marketers, including myself, use, and they are understanding sentiment, customer sentiment. So conducting sentiment analysis, which is this kind of screenshot right here, is a prime example of, when we've analyzed direct competitors or brands for our companies, how they view competitors. This is just as an example. So understanding sentiment in depth provides our customers with the ability to understand from that negative sentiment, which we see so read and so highly read, how can they penetrate and take away existing customer base from their competitors? This is key. And again, this could be done literally for free on social media. The second key point I wanted to mention is the pain point detection. And this is another almost opportunity lever for businesses to continue looking for the recurrent themes in the customer messaging and customer behavior from social media in creating a stronger brand, but also absorbing new clientele along the way. The other two categories that I could mention were identifying influencers and advocates in the space. So this is your traditional influencer market messaging. And if you wonder, well, how does that apply to me? I don't even have a brand. I can actually share that yourself as the founder and CEO of the business, you are your best influencer and your biggest asset. And your network of friends and coworkers, ex-coworkers, bosses, cousins, family members, they are your audience and they're helping you. They could be the ones to help you propel your brand and your brand value to the next level by always ensuring that your message and the message of the brand travels farther and farther. And again, with social media, that's actually very easily done, just by leveraging inner circle, of, again, the networking piece of your own network and also your closest network. The fourth one, basically, of using behavioral data to understand your audience best is topic and keyword analysis. And this is where you can actually identify the highest mentioned keywords around your product or your service and how to leverage strategies, including SEO, SEM, and brand ads, for targeting specifically. This all, I'm sure, sounds very daunting and all these screenshots look good, but it's like, all right, how do we actually start implementing some of this? So let's talk about like why brands validate ideas and how, and let's then get to business and actually covering, how we can actually do that. So brands, you, you, the CEO, and you, the brand of your business, should be leveraging the decision-making process should be basically done based on the customer insights. And that could be done based on existing customer insights or new and potential prospect insights. You could do that by, as I mentioned, monitoring mentions of competitors. So any type of share a voice understanding of how competitors are doing and what are they lacking. What is the white space opportunity from your competitors that you can maybe jump on and sweep off, from their customer base. The second one is understanding your industry trends. So what's the high level picture within your industry? Are there any new products that are entering the market that you should be aware of? How do they position themselves and how can you differentiate your value from them? And how do you currently handle the customer experience process and how can you take that to the next level with enhancing the existing customer experience and future customers who join you? So using the behavioral data and basically go-to-market strategy are pretty much tied to two things, for every business owner right now, especially going into the end of the year. Everyone is planning 2026. Two things for them. Business planning, so that's your finances, your marketing, your sales, your overall business plan, and then brand positioning. And the two go hand in hand because, once again, the value that the brand brings and the marketing strategy that your brand has will reflect in your business planning and business operations. Needless to say that building that strong value and strong connection to your customers will help you identify new customer segments, new customers, new opportunities, including, of course, more touch points with existing customers and new ones, and building that trust. Evolving your strategy at the moment, should be fairly simple. It should not take too long. It should not take too much effort. It should be fairly simple for those of you with smaller revenue. For those of you who are with seven-figure revenue and above, I'm pretty sure you know what you're doing and most likely already have a team that's handling it. But there are three things that you should keep in mind when you are focused on your customer strategy. And those are making sure that your strategy is flexible. So as I mentioned from my own journey starting my business, my customer base initial target was completely different than what it is actually right now. So you should always be ready that you might have to pivot your business, pretty much at any given time, especially this year with the penetration of new technologies and digital, CRMs, AI agents and others. Like, you should really be very much like flexible in terms of how and who your customer is and how you will be reaching them. Maintaining some kind of feedback loop with the customer is always important. That's where social media actually could come to play. So having official channels where customers can reach you, they can share feedback for those of you who are in the physical product space, and for those of you who are in the service space, that would be making sure that your website has sufficient number of places where your either prospects or customers can input their information and feedback. And of course, having those quarterly check-ins or monthly check-ins with existing customers, again, for the SaaS people on the phone, will be incredibly important. So continuing to build your community over and over will be a key strategy for ongoing success of your brand. I always stayed away from social media just because I work in social media and I understand the opportunities and the threats that come with it. And I think it took me just about 15 years to really come to peace with the idea that social media is a very important way to reach customers, new prospects, segments, and audiences. So if I had to give you a piece of advice of someone who's worked in social media for several decades and who runs a business, I have to say that fortunately or unfortunately, social media will probably be your number one way to attract new customers and to keep in touch with existing customers and to continue upselling them. So you want to focus on building that community. And if you have some budget in marketing, I would probably say make sure that you focus that marketing budget or leave some budget for social media. It's a very, very important lever for businesses these days. Again, regardless of what your business is, product or service, once again, social media will be your best bet in building your community. Of course, why it matters, I think it's needless to say that people are everywhere. They're bombarded with messaging. So they're across multiple platforms. The ones who dislike, for example, a certain platform, then they go to the next platform. So they exist in some way, shape, or form on one of the digital platforms. And that's why creating your value brand and presence has to be very well thought of and structured in terms of which platforms you will be covering in order to touch all of your customer base. What we've seen over and over again from our existing client base and prospects is that advanced customer intelligence really can help you uncover deep insights about your own audience, and that insights from social media actually come in a much more flexible and they come freely, if you will. So people are much more open to sharing their experience with you via those channels, and that it's very important that you always have a very strong, clear, and direct message to customers. So while before we leveraged marketing strategies and tools that gave fun, puns and expressions and phrases that were funny and would make a product feel different than others. Now, because the customer is bombarded with messaging, is very important. Your message is so consistent and just straight to the point within 3 to 5 words, like who you are and what you deliver. So they just remember you with that one exact thing. So where we already know that these audiences are, we know that they're pretty much on social media. Let's just say it. They're digital. The digital footprint is so rich and so valuable. And leveraging social media can help you actually understand your sales funnel, your marketing strategy, your product usage, what's working, what's not working. And of course, anything through like from the customer acquisition to basically the full customer journey or the full funnel. And the opportunity for you is actually to connect the dots once again between all of the platforms and also all of the product offerings you have in order for you to provide a very clear picture to your customer and like what it matters to them and why you're giving them that specific value. Some of the pitfalls that we've seen when we've worked with more on the kind of younger founders and early startups is that people would start businesses, but they wouldn't really understand or build a persona. Or they would build a persona 5 years ago and then they would still use the same persona. I mean, think about it. Think how fast trends are evolving right now and then how many things changed literally from day to day. So your audience and the way that they shop and the way that they make their decision and what their budget is constantly going to be under a big question mark because it's going to be constantly evolving and changing over time. For some, more slowly, for others, faster. For product-based products that are sold again in shops, e-commerce stores, this year has been the year of tariffs and inflation, and these are the customer conversations which we've seen over and over again. So how you position your product specifically on those e-commerce stores will vary month to month based on what we see, of course, from geopolitical, economic updates. So make sure that you stay on top of that persona and don't think that this is an evergreen persona. It literally changes all the time. For the SaaS and for the service-based people, the persona changes a bit slower, but what we've seen in the last 12 months has been that obviously budgets have often been affected from that high profile or like economic outlook that we've seen, at least in the United States, in the last few months. So that flexibility of the persona has to come very strongly tied to the type of service that you do and how you actually structure your brand into what people want to see as a value-driven but very flexible brand, whether that's creating a de-escalating pilot program for your customers, again, related to services, or maybe piecemealing services based on the, again, like the type of objective the client has and how you are delivering the specific value for that specific deliverable that you're selling. Other things, as I mentioned just now, were channels. So the channels chosen should not be, if TikTok is popular right now, it shouldn't be that you go with TikTok just because it's popular. There has to be consistency over time, whether that means that you select only one channel of communication with your audience, and whether that's social media or newsletters or specific marketing campaigns. It just make it a habit that you don't switch too much because your audience, you're going to lose a percentage of your audience if you change any of that. So basically, keep it simple is the best advice when it comes to anything related to audience growth and keeping your audience, and make sure that you keep everything crystal clear. So one crystal clear message that you basically can give to that audience in order for you to be able to grow the business and grow the audience. There are important questions to cover. So every business and everyone starts with questions in terms of how can my business grow? How can I be selling more, or where I should be selling more? And the questions evolve over time. They start from very simple questions when we're early stage entrepreneurs to very complicated questions as we grow. But one of the most important questions that I always ask myself and ask myself even 10 years ago, before I even started the entrepreneurial journey, was which customer segment will be the one to drive me that big 10 million ARR growth? What is that product that I'm delivering that has the most value, even in an oversaturated market, that the client can literally relate to, even if it's a PowerPoint deck, that they feel like they are proud of it, even though they didn't work on it? That is the big question. And it comes with, of course, trial and error, but as I mentioned, it comes with very much consistent scaling of your personal brand and of the brand that you're building and brand messaging that you're putting out. So make sure that you keep it very consistent over time and have the flexibility only when it comes to where and how you're approaching the customers, but not so much into changing a product or a strategy. I added a prompt for everyone because I'd love to hear, how are you guys planning the next 12 months? I mean, right now we're literally end of the year and going into 2026. What is that one growth question that really you think will truly matter to you and your customer segment in those 12 months? You don't have to answer it right now, but just keep it in mind because that should be the one driver of your strategy for the upcoming 12 months. Step two in building your audience and your brand and creating your high value segments is to remember that you're moving away from vanity And the vanity KPIs, and of course, every entrepreneur's journey is those revenue and margins and numbers and, any of the vanity metrics. The more important question is identifying and understanding who's really paying you the most, what are they getting out of the service, like how long are they working with you for, and how can you basically leverage the knowledge that you have about those customers to create an even stronger segment for your next prospect and next customer. So I'd say make sure that you choose one priority segment, and it could be an industry, or it could be literally a brand or a specific customer segment, like an age demographic, and focus on it. If that's your high bid earner, then just don't try to spare yourself from, efforts into going hard on that segment. Just focus on it and try to expand it, because what's going to end up happening is that that segment will give you the most opportunity for the upcoming 12 months in order for you to have enough revenue to cover the next step of your journey, which is identifying new customers. Prime example that I learned from experience. I learn every day that I run my business, and I run into amazingly difficult and painful sometimes questions that make my brain just hurt. But one thing I've learned has been I don't need to serve every single industry. Okay. My bread and butter in the last few years has proven to be in one specific industry that I was honestly trying to run away from as far as I could because of the complexity, the compliance, the security, and regulations that are in that specific industry. And I tried and tried, expanding my literally value into different segments outside of that industry, to only come to the realization several years later that I should embrace the challenge and embrace that industry and that I am serving, and actually do my best to share my insights and share the value that I could bring in with that industry. And for entrepreneurs, like I know many of you are probably dabbling into multiple businesses at this point. For those of you who are in the more mature stage, for those of you who are starting now, it's true that entrepreneurship is a fever. Like once you have it, it just doesn't leave you. You just want to keep running more and more businesses. But just keep in mind that whatever you do, something has to pay the bills, and you always focus on the bills first. And anything else from the vanity fun stuff and vanity metrics, you can leave it, cover the bills, cover your bases, and then go and figure out the new expansion and the new segments that you can go after. And there are many tools. Let's get back to what are these tools? How can you actually leverage free tools and basically get your brand heard and see what's out there? And those are understanding how you can leverage existing customers to create your living persona from evidence to actual reality. And that message that your customers have given you, you can basically take and propel on social media and propel on your website and create strong SEO backlinks that will help drive that engagement. So one of the things I've also learned from entrepreneurship is always to record and transcribe sales pitches and sales phone calls, and kind of re-listen them and see the mistakes that are being made in terms of how the product is pitched and how you pitched it, and then what the customer actually said and how they told you what the biggest value is. I know where I'm conscious of time, but I did want to actually share several, almost like, if you will, free tools that you guys can leverage right now. So for those of you who have social media platforms, so Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Threads is, by the way, big. If you're not on Threads, get on Threads. It's still it's an early stage, but has great opportunities. Leveraging literally keyword searches for your industry and products that you're serving can give you literally free answers by consumers who are on those platforms. What you can actually do is take all the responses that you see online about the specific product that you're looking to penetrate with, and you can leverage compliantly tools that obviously exist and are free of charge for many of us, without naming many of them. I would say put all the information into large language model, which helps you parse out 4 key categories from discussions that you find. Those would be behavioral data, so anything related to the shopping that your customers are doing. Then any type of conversation data, and that's where social listening comes, from forums and apps and reviews or Reddit, anything that you are closely familiar with. And again, there are compliance policies into when you leverage and read those tools, how you can look at their data. And then think of your top maybe support tickets, if you've had any support tickets sent to you or top questions that you received from your customers, in order for you to be able to then take those and create your 2026 plan for how you position the brand moving forward. Because when you look at the free tools that I mentioned, just reading comments, if you post, say you post a video of yourself talking and there's 20 people who comment below it, well, they're already telling you whether they like it, they dislike it, if they think you're on point with the topic or not. So that's the invaluable asset and information that you could grab. And if you are able to scale your reading skills from forums and reviews that you received on your product, say on Amazon, think of the depth of how strong of a strategy you could actually develop further down the road going into 2026. There are so many free tools out there that I think should be leveraged. And again, I always highlight that you should make sure that you're compliantly leveraging them, and that you stay almost like within the rules of each one of those. And that, of course, no personal data, whether that's yours or your customers, ever goes into anywhere outside of basically the systems that you're using. So yeah, I will take a quick pause just for the Nasdaq family check on time.
You're doing great. If you have a little bit more, we'll jump into Q&A, but keep rolling. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So a few things to add would be prioritizing what I call high impact versus low impact. So basically, like, what is the high impact efforts that you should focus on, and then the ones that you should just not even waste time. So if you have the high impact idea or product, and knowledge of what your audience wants, and that's where trends come. So again, like you're scrolling on TikTok, you see a trend, you sell a physical product and you see it, then this means this is a signal. Act now. Now is the time for you to put that marketing dollar that you weren't sure whether you were going to spend in January or in December of 2026. If you see it happening, do not make the mistake of trying to save your budget now. Act on the trend immediately. If you're selling services, agency businesses, then that's where the high signal is several things. Your quarterly earnings and how businesses, large business enterprises who buy, for example, SaaS products, or how they buy subscriptions from agencies, they go in quarters, quarterly budgets, and you should be closely monitoring within that industry. When is there's always a dead quarter when when that company doesn't hire, they don't spend any money, and it goes normally by their fiscal year. So actually, I was on the phone with a client this morning. They said their fiscal year runs between July and June. So that means that basically by April, which is, we're entering Q2, their budget will be gone for that prior year. So if you think, oh, my product, I'm going to launch a new campaign, it's going to say XYZ, I'm going to spend all my marketing budget on it, I'm going to run it, in February or March. Well, if that specific industry, they all run in the same cadence. Yeah, February and March is going to be late because they won't have budget. So for the service-based people, like, make sure that you stay closely familiar with when those budgets are. And honestly, when you get on the phone with the client, just ask them this question. It will reveal a lot to you. When does your fiscal year run? So you understand basically when their budget cycles are and when you can go the hardest, when you know that they're getting the new fresh budget for the new year. So high impact signal, go for it. Don't wait, don't spend, don't save your marketing dollar, just execute. The low impact and low effort exercises, you can either leave them to do when you have time, or I always say, if you have someone helping you with the business, just have someone delegate to someone to come and help you. My scaling occurred as a business drastically the minute I started delegating. And I was, like many of you, literally saving every single dollar because it was coming out of my pocket. And I knew that in order to make money, I had to invest money. So just remember that low impact stuff CEOs should not be doing. And that is your signal that you should delegate. And if you don't have anyone supporting you, probably think of, whatever you have to do. If you have to keep in-house, outsource, whatever you have to do, just find some help because that's going to be your scaling time. Using insights to shape your brand strategy and messaging will be, again, very important. Once again, don't forget, you are the brand of the business if you're the CEO of the company. And you at all times have to understand how you can use every single conversation with a partner in order to shape the brand messaging going forward. And the brand messaging you have to pass over to your whole team. So, prime example, we are constantly in an evolving research world where there are multiple tools that are literally coming and taking projects away from us because clients don't have budget, they don't have enough support in-house, but they still need to execute fast. And my message as the CEO and founder of my company can only travel as far as me and my client who I'm on the phone with, right? But if you pass the same message of the value, why clients should continue working with you, even in tight budget space and AI-driven insights that we live in, is very important for you to pass over to the team because your team is your multiplier. So think of your team as your army. And if you don't have a team, once again, for early startup founders, like I would highly recommend getting at least one person to come and help you with, again, low-hanging fruit and your creation of your brand. Spending big. Ooh, I love talking about spending big. I mean, this is the year of like when I always say, don't do anything crazy, don't spend big. It is tough out there. But at the same time, I always say, because we live in such an amazing place where opportunities literally knock on every corner, if you have built a strong brand that delivers value, 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 I'm going to repeat it 10 more times so you guys remember, value-driven product and service, you will be safe. You'll be safe from inflation. You'll be safe from the economy. You will be safe moving forward. And that is only based on, again, the type of brand and signals that you give and pass over to your partners and clients. So you can do A/B testing and market research before you launch a new campaign. Literally, go on social media, look up what are competitors doing? How are they doing new campaigns? What are they messaging? What did the customers say below on the comment, below their maybe new video that they posted? How do they feel about it? Is there anything that drives more views or more likes or more comments for your competitors? And learn from that. Take that as a learning experience. You don't have to do market research and A/B testing. You have it at your fingertip. Look for several clear things within your campaigns and make sure that you have them. CTA, call to action. You always have to have a call to action. Just when I wrap up this phone call, I will tell all of you, please reach out to me, find me on LinkedIn, follow me on Instagram, etc., etc. You must have a call to action, and the message that you give to your audience has to be very clear where and how they can reach you and what you're giving them for the call to action that they'll receive. Channels, how to choose your channels and analyst, as I mentioned. Depending on what your message is, make sure that it's consistent, it's clear, and it provides exactly straight to the point what you're delivering to the client in a very simple language. And there's several things I wanted to leave you with. Brand and trust is built by PR campaigns. Okay, so any type of content that's related to PR, whether that's a press release that comes out, whether that's a press message from the CEO, you can record it at your house and say, we are Real Global. This is what we deliver. Going into next year, we're excited to continue delivering to our clients value-driven insights to help them shape their brand, make smarter decisions, right? That was clear, right? You got it. PR is very important. If you want your brand and your product to be successful, make sure that you focus some effort into that. Demand and pipeline generation could be done with paid search, paid social, outbound, webinars, events, etc. Many of them you could do for free. And now, actually, you could leverage many of the large language models for free SEO creation. I'm sure you can find many resources on how to do that. how to expand and retain, and this is the larger audience growth and audience retention piece, is actually in the email and demand generation campaigns and in product messaging. So if you have an app, what message do they get? Are they going to get a pop-up? What is going to be their CTA, their call to action afterwards? And if you are like an influencer brand, where's your influencer or where's your audience living? And what type of demand can you generate from demand gen campaigns with email campaigns specifically? And basically, what's the market fit check-in? It's almost, I love these. I always go into one, two, three. I just need simplified messaging and like, how do I do things? So priority segments for these market fit checklists that you have to do with your own segment are make sure that, you describe the typical day. How are you solving it? Like, how's that value of your product or service coming in? You must state their main problem, again, with sympathy and empathy. Oh, I'm here. Oh, I understand. I hear. Oh, I see that you're having challenges with XYZ. That's why I'm here to solve it. For physical products, very easy. You could just say, oh, you missed this in your day to day. The cup holder was too big, too small. Here, that's why our product is here to help you with it. And then you must have, besides the CTA, you have to have some kind of trigger to them, something that makes them want to hear more, something that they're like, okay, tell me more. I want to buy this. And then that's when, of course, like you have to have the top three, like just 3 to 5 proof points, but I always say top three max because attention spans are short of what exactly you are solving. And if you don't have this market fit, don't panic, don't worry about it. Basically, you just have to focus on understanding who the audience is. So do a little bit of that research that I just mentioned and focus on understanding who is that audience that I'm serving in order for you to be able to come up with that checklist and those 3 proof points for who you are. So again, this is not, you can't, the problem with entrepreneurship is that because you're so spread thin, you do something once and then you forget about it. I suffer from that too. Luckily, I have an amazing team that's now running pretty much all channels and we have them habitually updated. They're updated constantly. So have some kind of routine where there is a schedule and a plan, how you will be talking to the customers, whether again it's email, it could be product messaging, it could be webinars, it could be a check-in, could be a quarterly check-in with the client, but you want to continue building the audience, and your audience could be existing clients and the prospects, but you just want to keep that habit of like making sure that you're checking in, you're in touch with them. And then 90-day plan at all times. Every single entrepreneur on this phone call has to have a 90-day plan. And it could be honestly, do I shut my business down in 90 days? Do I have enough funds in the bank? That's a very realistic question, I'm sure, for we've all been there. Or how am I going to scale and double, triple, quadruple my sales in the next 90 days? And what do I do? That's where I highly recommend, once again, making sure that the CEO is not the accountant and the secretary and the pipeline generator. So just having someone to come and help you and structure the days and the specific timeline of basically how you can create this customer-centered plan. And you could define it based on your timelines and again, your objectives. But for understanding your audience specifically, I say within 1 to 10 days, I would say easily you could start collecting the customer signals that you get, leveraging free tools and social media. Again, make sure, please, you do everything compliantly and there's nothing related to personal identifiable data or anything else that could get you in trouble. Days 8 to 30, basically your first month after you've received the signals from your customers, like start launching, your campaigns in terms of like how you want to validate. And the initial campaigns should be internal only. So like testing your messaging within your own team. Like how do they think about it? How do they see it? And then from 30 to 90 days is basically like the execution stage, understanding it to the shift of like what's working, what's not working, like where basically do we need to pivot in that. And again, how do we keep our audience warm? How do we maybe grow the existing one? And then how do we attain new ones? And I'll take a quick pause just to check once again. I think I just have a few quick slides, but feel free to interrupt, Colin, if I need to jump off.
Oh, Tsvetta, no, this has been so great. And the good thing is there isn't a ton of Q&A. So I think you can just wrap with the key takeaways, next steps, and then we'll send you on your way. So yeah, roll on that
Perfect.
last one.
Perfect. So, key takeaways for my fellow founders is that every strong brand really does start with you and with knowing exactly what you're building and who it is built for. Make sure that you're crystal clear in your messaging and clearly communicate and directly communicate. And make sure that you validate your signals before you act on something big and crazy like a marketing campaign or before you pour all of your budget into an effort. So be a bit more cautious with that. And then, yeah, customer-centered strategy honestly should be flexible at all times. Again, the world changes, we change, our thoughts and desires even change day to day. So make sure that you plan for that flexibility in your strategy so you don't disappoint yourself in a way. Your, I guess, homework and next step could be that you can choose like the specific growth question you're after and like trying to figure out like the best segment that's going to answer it and just try something new. Try something for a month, try something for a week. See where you net with it. But as a founder myself and as someone who's been through so much as a founder, I have to say that you are in the best time of your entrepreneurship journey. Do not give up. It is very tough to build a business, and there's always this one hump. And once you get to the hump and pass it, from there, I really promise everything's like easier. It's harder in many ways, but easier. So don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You are in the best time, and I wish you all success. I love hearing and reading statistics about entrepreneurs, small business owners in the US. It's inspiring. So thank you guys so much for being here. I honestly feel very honored. I'm sorry I haven't met all of you, but you inspire me. So keep hustling.
Oh, I love that. What a way to end it. And thank you so much, Sveta, for the time, for your expertise. Shouting out one of the comments that just came through, best development session this year. And everyone's being very
Wow. Thank you.
thankful. So I really appreciate you joining us, and for everyone in attendance, appreciate you joining us. We have a bunch of upcoming webinars, and maybe not next week, but in December. So check those out. We look forward to welcoming you all back online soon. And Sveta, thank you again for joining us and for presenting today.
Thank you guys. I wish everyone success and again, never give up.
Amazing. Well, great advice. And for all of us still online, we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks again.
Thank you.